Hello, welcome to the first in my wee P1 series. I'm planning to do a little video today and tomorrow and Thursday, covering just an overview and then little literacy and numeracy tips and advice. I'm taking this opportunity to do it now because I have my youngest out sledging with some friends and my middle gone to the shop to get some much needed sweeties, and my teenager is still in her bed. So I thought, perfect, I'll jump on now and do it. So what I was thinking of doing for you primary one parents right now was a kind of overview. As I say, and tomorrow maybe focusing a little bit more on literacy ideas, and the next day some numeracy ideas. So I first of all wanted to start off by kind of really pressing the importance of learning through play. It cannot be underestimated how much children learn through play. Traditionally, we would do that more in nursery, and then they used to just move on to seats and desks and bums on seats and learning that way. But what we've realized over the years from a lot of research and following a sort of Scandinavian model is that play needs to continue. And in state schools, for the most part, you will find that there is a huge emphasis on play and the benefit of it, and even into primary 2 as well. Primary 1 classrooms tend to be set up so that there is not actually a seat for every child, because there's never really a need for all the children to be sitting down at one time. What you find is there'll be lots and lots of play areas. There will be times where all the children come together on the carpet for a teaching point, for example, or if they're watching something in the morning for register, in the afternoon for story time, things like that. But otherwise, the most you'll find is probably a table with maybe 7 or 8 chairs at it, where the teacher will reinforce the teaching point with them or work with a little group. And that is how a primary 1 classroom is set up. So there is no need for a primary 1 child, a 5 or 6-year-old, to be sitting doing a school day as such, because what I want to talk about and reassure you is there are many, many opportunities for them to be learning through play. So let me just explain that in a little bit more detail, because you know where I'm coming from. I like to just be honest and just tell it how it is. So just to explain that, there are sometimes activities that are pre-organised and set up for the child to do around the classroom. Now that might be something like make a pattern with these blocks, thread these beads onto a string, make the highest, most secure tower you can with these materials available. And then there's free play or imaginative play, where there are materials and toys laid out around the classroom, but the child can choose what they want to do. And there might be maybe a limit of 3 or 4 children at the Lego or the blocks and things like that. So they use their imagination to do something. Tends to be water, sometimes workbenches, a little shop. Might be lots of role play as well within a primary 1 classroom. So it cannot be underestimated how important that is. And I bet you're doing all of that at the moment in your own homes, and you probably don't realize how much that is helping them. So if, for example, you're letting them help you bake, if they're helping you set the table, if they're playing with Play-Doh, if they're finding numbers on the cereal packet, if they're organizing imaginary teddy bear picnics, or like my kids used to do teddy holidays, where we got every single teddy out, and we have a lot, and give them a little ticket, a boarding pass, and set them up with a partner to board the plane and figure out where they were going, look on the globe where they were going. It was a whole enterprise of Brown Airlines, which I did think was maybe need to rename the airline, but that's a huge amount of learning in that. All of that is a learning experience. So, and it's really valuable for them, and they do get a lot out of it. They get a lot more out of it, I'll be honest with you, than doing a worksheet. They don't need to be doing worksheets. They don't need to be sitting down writing stuff in jotters. They will get an awful lot out of play. I also wanted to say as well that a really, really fascinating thing I saw on Facebook recently was a teacher had asked in her Teams meeting, she'd asked for the parents to send in pictures of their children engrossed in free play. So something without an adult, just something they'd gone off and done, and to send her them. And then what she did, which was really clever, is she showed them all a link to the curriculum to how they actually were learning specific core skills. So I will put that on my link later on as well for you to see, and you'll be amazed how much that just counting out those sweeties per teddy is actually teaching them. So I want you to be reassured at first that they do not need to be sitting doing a worksheet. They do not need to be forcing their way through Biff, Chip and Kipper books to be learning, all right? Something else, I've spoken to a lot of my colleagues and my P1 colleagues and teachers who've taught P1. I've done P2, I haven't done P1, I'll be honest. But P2 is obviously very closely connected to P1. And one of the things that you can be practicing at the moment are fine motor skills. Now, just to explain what fine motor skills are, they are when you would be doing something like a little pincer grip with your finger. And the reason these are important to develop is because it leads on to pencil grip for as they move up the school and they're rewriting a little bit more. They don't do an awful lot of writing in primary 1, but obviously you do as you go up the school. So anything that involves this kind of pincer grip, you could be doing, like for example, an adult, threading a needle is a fine motor skill. I'm not suggesting, just a disclaimer, that you do that with your 5 or 6-year-old. In fact, please don't. But things like hammer beads, where they have to individually pick them up and make the pattern. You could be threading beads onto a shoelace. They might be picking up beans or peas or something like that, or little counters, anything that involves that action, or Smarties, which is what I would go to be honest, picking up the Smarties and eating them, putting lids back on the pen. And the great thing is kids don't know that they're learning when they do this. So they are really excited to do it. They're more motivated to do these sort of things, and actually they're learning all the time. I wanted to touch on as well something that you could be doing, and I talk from experience. I have been guilty in the past of doing a lot of things for my children because we are rushed for time, because I have 3 of them. They're 2 years apart, so at various points I had 3 quite young children, and also I had lost the will to live a lot of the time with zips and shoes and socks and things like that, so I did them. But actually we do them a disservice to kids when we do that, and we kind of need them to learn those skills to be independent. So this is the perfect time, because let's be honest, we aren't rushing anywhere, are we? We have all the time in the world to practice zips and Velcro shoes and things like that, just getting themselves a little bit organised for their self-confidence, so they're able to do it. If their jumper's inside out, teaching them how to turn it the right way around rather than doing it for them. And these things will stand them in good stead as they go up the school as well, when they need to change for gym, when all these sorts of things, they will have to do them. So why not do them in a fun way now when we have the time to do them? I always laugh at, I don't know if any of you have seen it, the Michael McIntyre sketch where he's talking about how couples without children are just really smug when they put their coat on and match up the zip and pull it up, and something happens to kids' zips when you're trying to get out the door in a hurry and you're all jammed and you're yelling at them. So I speak from experience. I've done it many, many times. In fact, sometimes I do just say, for goodness sake, to zip it up. And that's my 11-year-old. And he's like, get away from me. So those sorts of life skills are really, really excellent to practice, and never do you any harm to practice those kind of things. Super quick, wanted to touch on literacy, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit more tomorrow. What we really want as teachers, and ultimately as parents as well, is for our kids to be enjoying reading, or have a love for reading, or at the very least not hate reading and find it a chore. And I'll be honest with you, the Biff, Chip and Kipper books, no disrespect to them whatsoever, they serve a wonderful purpose. They are written phonetically so that the children can decode them using the skills they've already learned. So they cannot and are not the most interesting stories in the world for that reason. So what I wanted to just very quickly point out is that there are millions of beautiful books out there, and it doesn't matter what books are being read. It doesn't matter whatsoever. It's the skill and that they take from it, the listening that they need to have if you're reading them a story. And what you find is that children who are read to, regardless of what book it is, if it's picture books or if you're starting to read Harry Potter to them, it doesn't make any difference. You could actually read the back of the cereal packet. It doesn't make any difference, because they're learning to listen, they're building their vocabulary, that helps them with making connections and their understanding of the world, which is a huge thing when it comes to comprehension as they go up the school, and it helps them make connections to things. And you can sort of touch on comprehension style questions as well. How does it make you feel? So there's an awful lot that you can do when you read a story to them that, I'll be honest, is better for them and their skill set than plugging through a Biff, Chip and Kipper book. It's in no way to do them down. They have their place and that's why they're used in school, but take this opportunity to use different ones. All right, tomorrow we'll talk a little bit more about that and some things that you can do, some questions you can ask for with literacy. But in the meantime, bye for now, and I will put those links to what I've talked about under the video. Okay, bye.